Hello everyone, my name is Raju, and this is the story of how a poor boy nobody respected grew up to prove everyone wrong. I was born in a small village where the houses were made of mud and tin sheets. When it rained, water came inside. When it was summer, it felt like we were living inside an oven. My father worked as a daily laborer, and my mother washed dishes in other people's homes. We didn't have much, but we had each other. Still, being poor is not just about having no money. It is about how people look at you, how they talk to you, how they make you feel small. I remember one day very clearly. I was 10 years old. I went to school wearing a shirt that had been stitched 3 times already. My shoes were too big because they were donated by someone else. That day, our teacher asked everyone what they wanted to become in the future. One boy said, doctor. Another said, engineer. One girl said, pilot. When it was my turn, I stood up and said, I want to become a big businessman. The whole class started laughing. One boy shouted, you. Businessman. First, buy new shoes. Even the teacher smiled and said, Raju, first focus on passing your exams. I sat down, my face burning. That was the first day I felt something grow inside me. Not anger, not hatred. A promise. I promised myself that one day I would show them who I really was. Life at home was not easy. Some nights, we had only rice and salt for dinner. I studied under a streetlight because we could not always pay the electricity bill. But I loved numbers. I loved counting money, even if it was just coins. I helped my mother keep track of her earnings. I helped my father calculate his wages. Slowly, I started understanding how money worked. When I was 14, I started selling vegetables after school. I would go to the market early in the morning, buy leftover vegetables for cheap, and sell them in the evening in our village. Some people said, poor boy is working hard. Others said, look at him, he will always stay poor. Their words hurt, but they also pushed me. When I finished school, I wanted to go to college, but we had no money, so I worked during the day at a small shop and studied at night. One day, the shop owner cheated me. He didn't pay my full salary. When I asked him why, he said, boys like you should be thankful you even have a job. That night, I cried. I felt angry at the world. Angry at being poor. Angry at being treated like I was nothing. But again, I made a promise. One day, I will have my own shop, and I will treat people with respect. Years passed. I saved every rupee I could. I did small jobs, delivery boy, cleaner, helper at a warehouse. I learned how goods were bought and sold. I watched how shopkeepers talked to customers. I listened more than I spoke. Finally, at the age of 22, I had enough money to open a tiny roadside stall, selling snacks and tea. It was not a big shop, just a wooden cart and a small stove. But it was mine. I woke up at 4 a.m. every day. I kept everything clean. I smiled at every customer. If someone was short of money, I said, pay tomorrow. Slowly, people started liking my stall. Office workers stopped by. Students came after school. My tea became famous in the area. After 2 years, I rented a small shop. After 5 years, I opened a second one, and then a third. One afternoon, a man walked into my biggest shop. He looked familiar, but older. It was my old school teacher. He didn't recognize me at first. He ordered tea and snacks. I served him politely. Then he looked at the name board. Raju's Foods and Snacks owner. Raju Kumar. He looked at me again. His eyes widened. Are you that Raju from my class? Primera smiled. Yes, sir. He looked around the busy shop. Workers were taking orders. Customers were waiting in line. You did all this? He asked. Yes, sir, I said. I focused on my exams and my dream. He didn't laugh this time. He sighed softly, I am proud of you. For a moment, I remembered that classroom. The laughter, the shame. That was the moment I realized this was my revenge. Not by hurting anyone, not by shouting, not by insulting them back. My success was my revenge. A few months later, I met that same boy who had laughed at my shoes. He was looking for a job. He stood in front of me, nervous. "Raju, I heard you are hiring. I really need work." I could see embarrassment in his eyes. I remembered his words from years ago. Businessman? I had two choices. I could laugh at him. I could insult him the way he insulted me. But I didn't. I gave him a job, because my revenge was not to become cruel like them. My revenge was to become better than them. Today, I own a chain of small restaurants in 3 cities. My parents live in a proper house with a roof that doesn't leak. My mother doesn't wash dishes in other people's homes anymore. My father doesn't have to work in the hot sun. And sometimes, I go back to my old school. I donate books. I give scholarships to poor students. And when a child in torn clothes says, "I want to become something big," I never laugh. I say, work hard. Don't give up. One day, you will surprise everyone. So if you are watching this and people make fun of you because you are poor, if they say you are not good enough, if they laugh at your dreams, don't fight them with anger. Fight them with success. Let your hard work speak so loudly that one day, the same people who laughed will clap for you. That is the great history of a poor man's revenge. And that poor man was me. Thank you for listening.